Ending up at Case Western was almost serendipitous. I was an undergraduate anthropology major, primarily focused on physical anthropology at the University of Colorado. And one of my professors had mentioned an individual at that time was actually at the University of Chicago. Just happenstance, he ended up at Case Western. And I was very impressed with the work he was doing. And also being a native from Ohio, it made sense to me. I always thought of it as an excellent university. Well, it was a tremendous opportunity. It turned out to be far greater of importance to me than I would have guessed at the time. He went on to do some marvelous things in the field of anthropology and was a terrific mentor. I eventually became one of his teaching assistants. So that had a great impact on my life right there. And also it was a time when the Department of Anthropology had some terrific staff members under the guidance at the time of a great person, Dr. Charlie Callender, and Don Johansson is the individual who came in. And I must tell you, it was a significant impact given the students that they were attracting, so my colleagues during graduate school, as well as the faculty. It was outstanding and great preparation for later in life. When I think back about my career, I was probably a very unlikely person to initially end up after graduate school at IBM, given the fact that I did not have a technology background, but IBM was very, and still is, it's a meritocracy. It's about individuals coming in and working hard, and they were attracted to my graduate degree. They were attracted to the fact that they had been great supporters of CASE, had hired a number of students, graduate students in particular. I was able to take advantage of the education that I received here. So being an anthropologist allowed them to understand that I could really think very seriously in terms of it prepared you from an analytical standpoint. It took you to the next level of critical thinking. And that's what I think back about when I think about my graduate tenure, it pushed me hard. And it just fit very, very nicely into a company that rewarded people for really working hard but working smart. IBM was gracious enough to select me to be a Sloan Fellow at Stanford, received my degree in management, and I think you combine that with anthropology and all of a sudden you start to see the world differently. You're able to reflect on how are people, how do they grow, how do they become good at their trade, their craft, what is a good leader, how do you build teams in organizations. And you can see if you think back about what anthropology really is, it fits very nicely into business. But at the time when I was going through it, I would tell you, and not a lot of people put that together, myself included. I think years later it became obvious to me. When I think back about my career, I think I'm perhaps one of the luckiest people around, that extremely proud of being selected by a company such as IBM to represent them at Stanford. And I say that my graduate work at Case prepared me for that. Being asked to go to the White House, but being asked by the president and to be able to serve the country, that was a remarkable experience. To go and know that every day you got up and you were thinking about what can I do and what can our teams do to help the country. The words I would use about Case Western today and over the last 10 years is remarkable. Barbara Snyder as president, and her team, the team that she's built, and the faculty, there's an energy that I don't know that it existed at this level 10, 15, 20 years ago. There were pieces and parts of it, but it's much different today. It's very, very exciting, and to me personally, I'm an emeriti trustee today, I take all of that very seriously. When you see great leadership and around you, it's a pleasure to be part of it. I would just like to say that I'm honored and very much appreciative of it. I'm surprised, but thankful, and hope I represent Case Western Reserve well in all aspects of my life.